Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
On this Camper Report Show, I'm going to be talking with a young couple that has been on the road for 6 years already. But most importantly, they are showing others how to join the RV lifestyle at a young age.
Sounds interesting. I've got a great interview with Karen Redfern, Senior VP of the Go RVing campaign and Chief Marketing Officer at RVIA. And did you know that this year, Go RVing reached its 25th anniversary? They did a complete rebranding and refocusing on Go RVing. So it's a great interview.
And we're going to find all about it. And we get most of our material from RV Business and Woodall's Campground Magazine. So they're our partners. You're our partners today because you're watching the show. And we want to tell you to stay right here on
the Camper Report Show.
Be right back, everybody. And welcome back to the Camper Report Show. My name is John DePietro. I'm here with Bob Zagami, and we are discussing the news of the week. And Bob, now it is the month of June. We've been looking forward to June. Actually, we always look forward to June because it is Great Outdoors Month. And RVing is such a major cog in that Great Outdoor Month celebration.
It's interesting because it started out as Great Outdoors Week back in 1998 when Bill Clinton was president, and it has evolved and grown, and now we have an entire month of June that is Great Outdoors Month with all kinds of activities. Focus on the outdoors and the healthy lifestyle, getting people outdoors. Which after 2 years of being locked up with COVID, this is going to be an incredible summer of RVers.
Well, that's the reality of it, is that when you get outside, it helps you mentally, it helps you physically, it helps the family get together, because really, we've discussed this so many times, there's nothing like the magic of the campfire, is it, Bob?
Nope. And just to be able to get outside, sit around, talk to your friends, have that social involvement again that people haven't had, the kids haven't had it. They've been, masked up for 2 years. They've had all kinds of depression and mental situations come up, and now the ability to just hop in that RV and get away, even if it's an overnight trip or a weekend trip or 1 week, or if they're going to go for the whole summer, it is going to be a great adventure for everybody.
Yep. And we should tell people, don't get frightened away by the negative talk about, overcrowded campgrounds, overcrowded parks. I see this stuff all the time on the mainstream media. Keep in mind, there are so many options to go RVing with, whether it's Harvest Host, whether it's Boondockers Welcome, whether it's a state park or a traditional campground. I'm telling you, folks, it's worth getting out even on a short-term basis.
And you do your homework. I'm like you, John. I hate to see these reports come up, think it's the end of the world, when the fact of the matter is, if you do your homework and find some campground, you can find campgrounds. Maybe it's not the most popular campground in that town. Maybe it's not 2 minutes away from the entrance to the national park.
Yep.
Spread your search out a little bit, find someplace, and it's amazing what you can find. Absolutely. You can actually get state parks in this country with full hookups for $15 a night, but you have to look at them. You have to do your homework. Where are you going? Things are there. Or you, like you say, go to Harvest Host, and guess what? It costs you nothing. Exactly. It costs you absolutely nothing to park at a winery or a brewery or a museum. Yeah. So they have to be a little bit adventurous. They have to do their homework, and they will find someplace to camp.
Right. And you know what? Our friend Bob Livingston wrote in a recent publication that I had an opportunity to read, that, RVing is still wildly popular, despite the fact that, it's going to cost a little bit more. But what he did was he amortized it over a period of time, cost per night or cost per trip or cost per mile. And it's still one of the best values out there. And I go back to the fact that where else can you take the family? And in one location, you can park, you can eat, you can recreate, you can go to a pool, you can listen to entertainment, all without driving an extra mile. RVing is still it.
Yeah, he had a great paragraph, and forgive me for reading it, but I thought that this was the highlight of the article that was in Woodall's Campground magazine. How do we make sense out of all this? He says, for starters, balance is needed in one's life. Humans cannot survive on bad news alone, so there must be an outlet to counter daily stress. Getting out on the road and spending time in RV parks and in natural surroundings is good for anyone's soul. And that really articulates what the benefit of RVing is. He also points out in here that we have to become a little bit more accustomed to the high gasoline prices. That's a fact of life. But they've had that issue in Europe for decades.
Even in Canada.
It's one of the largest camping areas of the world. I mean, people love to camp in Europe and in Germany and in London, and they have done it for decades with gas prices that were 3, 4, 5 times what we were paying here.
Yep.
So we're very creative in America. We can adjust to these prices and still enjoy the lifestyle.
Exactly. And you know what? Let's face it, Bob, when you take your house and put it on an interstate highway, it's going to bounce around a lot and some things may break. And our friends at RVTI, the RV Technical Institute, and CoachNet have combined to provide certification programs for the CoachNet operators that deal with you on the phone. Now, let me explain what that is. If you have CoachNet or Good Sam or any of the other, what I call them highway rescue programs, towing programs, FMCA has them and whatever. All the studies show that so many of the repairs that are made on RVs today could be made by the owner themselves without having to take the unit into the dealership, wait a period of time, wait for a part, et cetera, et cetera. So what they have done is coordinated a program with CoachNet to provide the call takers at CoachNet with more information so that they can solve your problem while you're on the road in a short period of time and maybe not have to tow it and maybe not have to keep it out of service for any longer than what is, what it takes to get it fixed.
Yeah, and they don't, if they can do it that way, then they don't have to send out a mobile technician. You don't have to sit by the side of the road to do that. And I think this is one of the benefits of the reorganization of the training programs at RVTI, and they're available to consumers. So for $300, consumers can sign up for a year and take what we call the level 1 training, but that's basic propane, basic electricity, all of their appliances. And you can do that online. You don't have to go anywhere. It's only $300, and then you take the test at the end, and you would actually become certified much like a technician. But even if you didn't want to become a technician, it certainly would benefit for that $300. Think about how much RV repairs can cost. And spending $300, you can go through the level 1 and the level 2 training as a consumer and not even have to make those types of phone calls.
Yep. And you know what, with so many new people, and we saw the statistics the last couple of years with 500,000 units being sold, 50% of them to first-time owners, there are so many people that are at the low end of the learning scale with that. And, you got to become familiar with propane. You got to become familiar with, what unit you can turn on. You got to be familiar with, the 2-way and 3-way refrigerators. And sometimes it's just the flick of a switch or resetting of a circuit breaker that would get you right back on the road. So it's good to see more education out there, right, Bob?
Works for everybody. It works to benefit everybody. Yep.
Okay. We've got a great show coming up today, folks, here on the Camp Report Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these words.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
All right, welcome back everybody to the Camper Report Show. And my special guest today is Karen Redfern, VP of Marketing for the RV Industry Association. Karen, nice to see you and thanks for taking time out of your schedule.
It's wonderful to be here with you, Bob.
So a lot of things have changed this year, and one of them is that new logo behind you on the wall there. Why don't you explain the concept behind the rebranding of the Go RVing campaign?
Well, Go RVing is now 25 years old. And like any brand out there that talks to consumers, we wanted to make sure that we're fresh and relevant and timely with who today's consumers are. So we're great that our logo has always been our messaging, which is to encourage consumers to go RVing. But we wanted to make sure that it connected to them in a long-term way. So we now have this icon with our logo. And what that really symbolizes is the horizon and the open road, driving down that road. Because when we stop to think about RVing, we know that people use RVs for so many different purposes, not just for camping. They may be going to concerts. They may be going to sporting events. They may take them to other, events that their family enjoys going to. But the one thing that every RV adventure has in common is that you have to get on the open road. So we incorporated that feeling of the open road into who we were. And we just wanted something that had a little bit of a bold and refreshed look to it to really connect with today's consumers and going forward into the future.
And it's a good point because amazingly, the campaign is 25 years old. And it seems like for us more mature people, it seems like it was just yesterday.
It's true.
So 25 years disappeared. But
in the blink of an eye.
Right. But also, that's been an amazing 25 years. And of course, it was capped off by the last 2 years of the COVID environment that impacted everybody.
Absolutely.
So during that time, we saw a different change in the demographics of the industry, the buyers, the people who all of a sudden discovered it. So talk about how that has been worked into the new campaign and the new messaging. Absolutely.
And what's most interesting is some of those folks that may have come in during, the COVID and lockdown and when people were first starting to venture back out, they may have looked at an RV because some of those other vacation options weren't available. And then suddenly they realized also it was a safe way to travel. They were in charge of their schedule, their surroundings, the cleanliness of it. They could pick where they wanted to go to. So it gave them that freedom to still travel. But what we're finding is those people that came into the market that may not have had it on their radar prior to fell in love with RVing. And we're not seeing that influx of people who, now that there are other options available again to them, some of those vacations they might have taken before, the resorts that are now open, cruise lines or such, they're still finding that the RV brought them together and gave them new experiences that they never imagined they would have. And they're continuing to grow and find new ways to use their RV and expanding maybe the amount of time that they spend in their RVs.
I agree.
We're not just a flash in the pan.
Yeah, I agree with you because a lot of people thought that when we saw the numbers, we sold over 1 million new RVs the last 2 years, 50% of them going to new first-time buyers. A lot of people projected and said, well, they'll be in it for a while and then they'll get out of it. But they're finding what RVers have always known and always practiced. Once they get into the lifestyle and they find out that they like it, they stay in it historically.
It's addictive in a good way.
in a very good way. And there was no reason to think that this new breed or this new demographic composition was going to be any different.
That's one of the things Go RVing did last year was we refocused a little bit of our messaging of what we're doing to consumers and really tried to help them to enjoy that purchase that they've now made. We made sure that we worked with some of our media partners, our influencers, in creating custom content that talked about what to do for that journeying. where to take the RV, how to take it on the road. What were some of those rules of etiquette? Because not only do we have people who were new to RVing, we had people that were new to the outdoors.
Right.
We had people that didn't understand campground etiquette, that you don't walk through your neighbor's space, that's their space, or people on hiking trails that don't understand, who has the right of way in an ascent versus descent when they're on a hiking trail. People that didn't know, a lot of that basic that we take for granted, having been outdoors. So we kind of refocused on helping them to have a better experience once they were on the road with their RV, and put out a lot of material that they could go back and use as references, whether it would be to get ideas on journeys and locations to go to, or whether it was them getting information that they needed in order to hook up their RV and have a better experience at the campground.
And we might add that a lot of that information is incorporated in the Go RVing website. And we'll put that URL down below and some reference points for people to look at.
Yep.
But talk about the diversity campaign, because we made significant changes in the campaigns and also to bring other people into the lifestyle.
Right. We look at this as our growth opportunity because America is changing. The base and the face of American population is changing. So it only makes sense that that's going to change in who the RV users and consumers are. So we've really made this effort for the last 8 to 10 years. We've worked with diverse influencers who help us authentically, because they're already people who are RVing, are in the outdoor space, but they speak to their audiences that they've already have following them and help us to bring our message to them about how RVing can fit in with what they already enjoy. And in some of the cultures, there's a little bit of a historical hurdle that we have to get over, as far as not really spending that kind of time in the outdoors, and really what does it mean to be outdoors? What does it mean to be traveling on the road? So we have made a concerted effort to make sure that we reach those audiences, tell them about, and then we've also been educating the industry, as far as how do we speak to people who need to be invited to be part of the outdoor lifestyle. And so, we have to welcome people in, because this is, America. We have a large fabric of all kinds of people that make up this great country. And we all want them to feel the same love and admiration we have for traveling, hitting the open road, and enjoying those outdoor experiences that make us better, whether it's physically, mentally. I mean, we all feel that you get into the outdoors and that stress of your day-to-day lifestyle just drains. Well, and, there's a whole segment of our population who has no idea that that's out there to help them.
Well, and it's a good point, too, about the outdoor recreation and how all of the outdoor associations are now under one umbrella, the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable. So they're all speaking to the opportunities of the great outdoors. And people are much more aware of it now. And certainly the new buyers were well aware of it. So we've had to convince them. We had to not even convince them, but we had to expose them to the wonderful world of RVing. But RVing now, besides having that focus of the outdoor experience, is also much more than just a motorhome or a travel trailer. Yes. There are other ways. Talk about other ways that people enjoy RVing and camping, even if they don't own a unit.
Yep. Well, there are so many ways that now that they can get into renting a vehicle. There are so many peer-to-peer outlets. So many of the campgrounds now, we have those that have park model RVs that are available for rental. You've got a lot of them that have the camping cabins. And there are a lot of campgrounds that actually put a traditional RV on a site, and you drive there and you spend your weekend in that RV, but you get to try it out. If the intimidation is there of not wanting to drive it, or not wanting to tow it, you can still have that true, authentic experience by camping at a local campground in a true RV, but they've done all the setup for you. So you don't have to worry about it those first few times. And there are more and more of those opportunities that are available and growing for the consumers to give them that introduction and that taste of what it's like. So it's a little less scary, a little less overwhelming when you look at the numbers and types of RVs that are out there to choose from. How and where do I know where to begin? what is the vehicle that's going to best meet my family's needs. And, so this takes away a little bit of that anticipation and trepidation that people have of what to do, and they can test it in a very calming environment because they're already at the campground. So there's always, as you and I know, RVers are one of the most welcoming people. They're always going to help you. If you don't know how to hook something up or what to do, they'll be over there to help you out. So it becomes that community that they can lean on to help them through that first experience and enjoy it even more.
Yeah, I think that's one of the exciting things this year, Karen, where the peer-to-peer networks like RV Share and Outdoorsy and RVZ, those owners will bring it to the campsite and they'll set it up, and then they'll go back and take it. So you just show up as if you were a regular camper, and it's all there and it's all set up, and you can enjoy it and get to experience it. But you get to experience it in the elements with other RVers, and you get to meet them,
right?
Get to hear the stories. So I think that's a big plus for the industry. And the camping cabins that most campgrounds have now are also, they're top sellers. I mean, most all of them sell out for the whole time, because for city dwellers, for people new to the industry, it's just a great way to do it.
And you're surrounded by the camping experience.
Right.
You still can have your campfire out in front. You can still participate in whatever the activities are that are at the campground, and people get to really, feel part of that community. And I think that's the biggest thing that, as we went through this pandemic, people went through that feeling of isolation, especially in the beginning. And I think that's one of the biggest pluses and the biggest boons to RV travel is, for those who decided to try it, suddenly they had this ready-made community, and RVers are very welcoming.
They are.
It's, it's a wonderful way to step into finding something new in your life and having that automatic family and community around you. It truly is one of the last small towns.
Yeah, the thing I love about it is there's no pretentiousness. These are real people. The family on one side might be lawyers and doctors, and the other one might drive 18-wheels. They don't care.
No.
The common bond is we love the outdoors. We love to be with other people outdoors and do other things, and that's what Go RVing has masterfully done over the last 25 years. So it was a great refresh and a great rebranding, and I wish you well as it goes along. Our guest today has been Karen Redfern, VP of Marketing at RVIA. Karen, you're a busy woman. Any last comments that you might have for our fans? And I sincerely appreciate you taking time for the interview today.
I certainly appreciate it. We want to welcome more people into this family and this community. And we do also know that with all these new RVers on the road, we're looking at ways for the RV industry is helping to make sure that we have more campgrounds that are available, working with the private sector as well as the public sector to make sure there are plenty of places for everyone to go. So there's a space for everyone to enjoy. So, spread the word to your family and friends, but there's always a great way to go RVing. We love it.
That's right. And they can start at GoRVing.com, right?
That's it. You can get started right there. Give you all the information you need.
All right. Thanks very much, Karen.
Thanks so much, Bob.
I'm Jesse from Outsiders Calling, and I love adventurous family travel with my wife Jenny and our son Tucker.
For over 3 years, we've RV'd across the U.S. and Mexico, and it's tough to find places that meet all our needs.
Now we plan our trips with the RV Trip Wizard, pull it up in the RV Life app, select it, and go.
It helps us discover amazing new places to grow together as a family.
RV Trip Wizard with the RV Life app is an awesome trip planning combination.
You can get both for one low annual price. Check out RVLife.com to learn more.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Camper Report Show. My name is John DePietro, and we have a very interesting young couple that is joining us today. They are Christian and Nate, and you folks decide who's who.
Yeah.
Send in your votes right now. Christian, vote number 1, Nate, vote number 2, et cetera, et cetera. But they are Project Trek Life, and we should say that they are full-time content creators and do some work with us here on the RV Life Network. So it's kind of like we're like Coke and Pepsi, not Coke and Pepsi, but we're like Coke and Sprite. We're from the same parent company. We just have different
Yeah.
roles. So guys, welcome to the Camp Report Show.
Hey, well, thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here and chat with you guys all things RVing.
All things RVing. So I think somebody already has that title. But anyway,
really?
All things RVing. We still haven't defined who's Christian and who's Nate.
This is Christian, and I am Nate.
Great. So tell us a little bit about your background, because you guys are on the road now. What? So wait, 2016 or 17, depending upon what press release.
Right. Yeah.
Kids that are 7 and 9 with you, and you guys are living the dream that so many people say, "I'd love to live." But give us the backstory. Where are you from? How did you hit the road? Do you want to stay on the road? Are you going to come back off the road? Give us your 45-second elevator pitch.
Okay, so who should go? Christian or Nate?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Nate will do it.
Nate will go.
So we lived in Sarasota, Florida. Christian was managing multifamily properties. I was a firefighter paramedic for just under 10 years. And I ended up having a neck injury at work. And during that time of when I was doing physical rehab, we kind of decided, well, maybe this isn't where we want to be the rest of our life, especially since they were trying to push me into a desk job. And my pension was tied into the Florida state retirement system. So we said, well, maybe this is a good time to cash out. So we sold everything, bought an RV, and we've been on the road ever since. And that was 6 years ago.
And how old, what ages were you roughly when you said, as you say, Nate, cashed out?
I think I was.
Gosh, how old am I now? I'm 27, so I was 21.
Yeah.
Or 31. I was 31. I'm 37 now. It's 31 when we left. Yeah.
Okay. You want me to start over? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right? Like, we need to go back.
I've heard someone say that when you're living the RV lifestyle, and I've only done it for like weeks at a time, I haven't done it for months or years at a time. Sometimes you don't know what day it is. And sometimes you don't know what time of day it is. And considering the fact that you're in California and I'm in Massachusetts, we couldn't be more diverse in our geographic location. So
true.
As long as you know who you are and know where to go tomorrow morning, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we're good.
We're good. So did you have family backgrounds where your family members were felt tied to their jobs or tied to their geography?
Admittedly, during the entire process of considering RV like travel full time, one thing that we wanted to do was, at that time, I think our generation has seen a real influx in online opportunities. And so I think that we're kind of going to be some of the first of this generation to kind of take advantage of some of that, because a lot of the things that we started doing in preparation to get on the road were like online jobs, online work. So I think that when you ask, did we have family that were tied to jobs? Not necessarily, but I do think that the emerging opportunities really opened up the doors for us to be able to expand that. And I think that's where it came from, really.
Yep. Because there's no question, Nate, I'm sure you'd agree with that. One way to stay happily married is to, you're right, John, I agree with everything that she said.
Yes,
exactly. But you know what? When 2020 came around and people were confined to their homes and companies realized that they didn't really need these elaborate offices and these people wasting. Several hours a day, depending upon the metro area that you were from, then basically people saw that there was an opportunity to work from another position than in the desk at the office. So I guess you would be trailblazers because you beat that by 4 years. So tell us where you've been. Tell us where you've been, where you are now, and where you're going. And also bring in the fact that your kids have, probably never known. I think one of your kids has never known a life outside of being on the road.
They definitely don't remember living in a stick and brick house.
Mm-hmm.
No. So essentially, both of our kids, when we initially launched, were essentially still in diapers. So they've really only known this traveling lifestyle. And, it's funny you ask, where we've been, and I just want to highlight that in the first year of RV travel, we went everywhere. And then the second year of RV travel, we were tired. And the third year, we slowed down. The fourth year, I feel like we've really found our groove. And the fifth year, I feel like, is when we decided it was going to be long term. And now we're on the sixth year.
Yeah, we've just settled into the idea that this is how we want to live. I mean, there's so many benefits to this lifestyle. You asked about our kids. I mean, they learn to ride their bikes in campgrounds. They've learned how to read and through our homeschooling, and they just finished up their math lesson about an hour ago.
Yeah.
So,
and they've also learned so much from all of the diverse camping that we've been able to experience, and all of the ages. I'll never forget, we met a retired teacher, and she just really loved having the kids come over and read to them and teach them. And there's just so many opportunities for children out here to get to actually experience a childhood that I feel like you can't create in the world right now as easy as you can in the RV lifestyle.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I think there's a big hesitation with families in jumping on board with the RV lifestyle because, well, how are your kids going to socialize? My kids can make friends with anyone.
Anyone.
Because
they do.
Yeah.
Right? When you go to a new location, I mean, I don't know whether do you pick up every few months now, or I'm sure the first year you said you were gone, every week or so?
Well, we were moving every 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
Our sweet spot now we found is between 10 to 14 days. It gives us time to get some work done, explore the area, hang out with our friends. So
yeah, I definitely think having found that sweet spot, I think, is really important. And that's why we do love creating content around some of these things that we've learned along the way in RVing. And I think that's what kind of keeps us motivated, is to help other families find value through our experience, and kind of being able to say hey, when we first started, we were traveling really fast and we slowed down, and this is what happened. And so I think that's why the content creation thing sort of happened as well.
Yeah, because you had said we are full-time content creators, and that could be a wide variety of different things. You have a YouTube channel, you have several videos, and you must be, I know you have a drone. And
we do have a drone.
You're creating.
Not if the FAA is listening to this.
Yeah, no, you don't do it commercially, so you don't need that license. But let me ask you this: what did the families say when you decided we're going to hit the road? What was the reaction from either side of the families?
Actually, pretty understanding. I came from a very traditional family upbringing, and they were surprisingly on board with the idea. Yeah. I think they only thought it was going to last maybe a year, though. So.
Okay. Because, a lot of young people hit the road and they say, well, we're going to have kids. We want to have kids. So we're going to, get back into the stick and brick house. You have overcome that circumstance, but I can see, Christian, by the smile on your face, by the enthusiasm in your face, same thing with Nate, the glow, maybe it's just the light. I don't know.
That's what it is.
No, it's a glow.
That you're content with what you're doing. You're not saying, we can just hang on. And, Nate, think of this. How many fellow firefighters did you deal with that when you were, in your first few years, the old timers were saying, just 3 more years, 2 more years, right?
Yeah. I feel like I kind of gamed the system a little bit. I'm not sure.
We feel like life hackers a little bit, because we're kind of like, oh man, I almost bought into that.
I mean, there's definitely a place for that. There's definitely a value in finishing out a 25-year career. It wasn't for me at the time, and luckily it's worked out really well.
Yeah.
And in reality, when you're a firefighter, you're really doing 2 careers, because every firefighter that I know because, they're 2 days on and 4 days off. They're doing a second gig somewhere.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
right?
I did.
Yeah.
I used to clean out Florida retention ponds up to my chest in pond water loaded with alligators. I pressure washed, I painted.
Yeah, he did a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So the other thing is this. I heard somebody say a while ago that the way we should live our life is, we go to high school, we go to college, then we get out of college, and then we retire for 15 years. And then at the end of 15 years, then you get a job. And the only reason I say that is because think of all the people that, wait till that 65th birthday or that 45th anniversary of the job. And I mean, I just talked to somebody 2 weeks ago here online that was ready to, they bought the RV all ready to go, and the husband had a stroke. So the RV is for sale. You're doing it the smart way.
Well, and I think that is something that I learned from some of my colleagues, just from watching them. They would retire out, and their knees were blown out, their backs were blown out, and I got a little taste of that with my neck injury, and we just said it's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all.
And I also want to say that I think that's kind of why I feel like we have so much respect for people that are getting into this lifestyle after retirement, because I do know like people have worked really hard to get there. And so I have so much respect for people that have put in those hours. And I don't take this opportunity that we have lightly. By any means, and I do want to highlight that, we're living out.
Although you are lightening your hair. Or is that highlights? There we go.
I tell you though, this camera seems to like want to go in and go out on me. So be careful.
But you know what? You've got your website, Project Trek Life. What will people find when they go to that site?
They'll find all of our latest YouTube content. They'll also find all of our content that's on Instagram and TikTok. Admittedly, we do a lot of short form social media. So that is TikTok and Instagram Reels. And we love creating short pieces of educational content for people to learn how to RV, to experience some of the travel that we've experienced by exploring one of our travel guides, reading one of our blog articles on RV renovations. Nate does a lot of tips and tutorials. So we kind of have a little bit of everything really, but it's all RV related. And I would say that we centralize ourselves to kind of help individuals that are looking to transition from short-term RV travel to long-term RV travel. That seems to be where I feel like our voice has been magnified the most.
Because you've been there.
Right, exactly.
You've been there.
Yeah.
And I know you've got a new program that you're working on right now. If you can disclose it if you want. Republic of Nomads. Unfortunately, we don't have the time in this segment to talk about that, but will you guys come back and talk with us in a
Yes, we would love to chat with you guys more about that.
Find out about that. So we've been talking with Christian and Nate and their kids, Ella and Anderson. Are they asleep? Well, no, wait a minute, it's only 4 o'clock there.
No, they finished homeschool. And then now they're actually building like they're doing some Lego projects. My son is building a very large Lego car. And my daughter is actually going to be taking an out school class here soon. So we're still kind of doing some homeschooling and projects.
Great. We want to thank you so much for joining us. And we will put all your pertinent information down below here on our YouTube channel and let you know that next time we talk to them, we're going to find out more about Republic of Nomads. In the meantime, this is the Camp Report Show. Thank you for joining us.